going to Disneyland. I just flipped off President Bush. I'm going to Disneyland. Come on, you remember that one? Mid-90s? Disneyland?
I just ran away from home. Now I'm going to Disneyland.
Hello, Austin here. So the internet recently had a bit of a freak out when Disney announced that they would no longer be doing physical media for a lot of the eastern half of the world. Pretty much any country in Asia and all of Australia, physical media is going kibosh. It's going out the window. So that means you pretty much have to have Disney Plus if you want to watch your Disney movies. They're putting them in the vault. And the internet had a collective freak out about this. And I just kind of looked at it and I'm like, yeah, I was expecting this. Disney does not care about physical media at all. Like, I knew this years ago when I bought the DVD to Zootopia day one, and it's awful. There's no other way to put it. The Zootopia DVD is just awful. Even the Blu-ray is awful. It's got a horrible menu with, like, the same animation that repeats itself, like, 12 times before you even click the play movie button. There's virtually no special features, which is super weird because Zootopia has probably the most interesting production of any Disney movie since The Emperor's New Groove. Like, it was made in the editing room. There's so much cut stuff from Zootopia, and practically none of it was included on the DVD. And, I mean, just 10 years earlier, we were getting these amazing DVD releases. It's horrible to say that, like, a movie like Lion King 1.5 is substantially better than Zootopia in terms of physical media, but I'm just holding both in my hand right now. And look, here's the Zootopia. You hear that disc rattle in there because the case is so flimsy and cheap. It's just awful. It doesn't even use the theatrical movie poster as the cover, and that always bothers me. I mean, in this case, a little less so, because I've never been a fan of Zootopia's movie poster. I mean, come on, the Golden Book cover had a much better poster than the movie. But anyways, still lame. Then you have Lion King 1.5, which, I mean, it's just this beautiful release. The case is thick, it's filled with, like, papers and booklets and all sorts of stuff in here. I don't know what happened. Well, I do know what happened, actually. Disney Plus. But even before that, Disney really just threw their physical media in the gutter. And that's a terrible idea because so much of their business is built on back catalog. Like, Disney makes money perpetually off their movies. I've always thought that they're a bit like the Nintendo of movies, in the sense that their physical media products always cost a premium, they never go down, they appreciate in value, and even on, like, an off year where Disney loses a bunch of money, let's say, 2013, didn't they have The Lone Ranger and John Carter, right? Like, they had some flops in 2013. Was that also when that Wizard of Oz prequel came out? Like, they had a bunch of bombs in a row. It didn't matter, because they had, you know, these movies constantly printing money. Until lately, where they decided, you know what, screw it. We're not even going to make these available. We're just going to focus on that one Disney Plus bill. A continued $15 from every person. And I you know, I'm just a man who collects cartoon animal women in plastic form. I'm a furry weirdo. What do I know about business? But when you've got people every month paying $30 for these collector's releases, and sometimes double and triple dipping when they would release the same movies again and again, why would you toss that out in favor of a $15 a month subscription? That just seems completely counterintuitive. But whatever, you know, Disney's dropping physical media. And there may be some proof that for the average family, for the average person, not collectors like us, that this may be working. I often go thrifting and flea market hunting. I would say at least once or twice a week. I usually hit a thrift store during the midweek, and the weekend I do the big flea market in California. There's a pretty big one nearby. Loads of dealers, tons of fun. And one thing you would never see when DVD hunting is Disney movies. They'd always be, like, in the back of the dealer's booth in a special section where they would want, like, $15 a piece. Because Disney movies for a long time held their value. I mean, you go to Best Buy, these movies would be $25, $30, $40 even for some titles. But lately I've noticed the Disney movies are no longer in the special section of the flea market booth. They're tossed in with all the other DVDs for pennies on the dollar. I went to the flea market last week, and I bought pretty much all the Disney titles on Blu-ray. I'd had the DVDs for a little while, but I never bothered with the Blu-ray releases. Generally speaking, I have stayed away from having a huge Disney DVD collection. It simply comes down to space, and my loyalty lies with the ogre. I grew up with the DreamWorks movies. Shrek, the whole series, Over the Hedge, Prince of Egypt, Road to El Dorado, even Sinbad, as unfortunate as it may be. Those were my movies growing up, and on TV I watched a lot of Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, and Nickelodeon. Well, I say Disney Channel, but really the Disney Channel and the animated Disney movies have a little crossover there. But I was never a huge Disney kid growing up. I don't know, I always just liked my humor and animation to have a little more edge to it. Shrek was my first love as a kid, so I think that already kind of gave me a cynical view of the Disney movies. I mean, it's hard to understand, but imagine growing up in a world where Shrek existed in my world before Disney. Like, I watched the Shrek movies before I watched the Disney movies, which is weird, because as a kid I'm like, who are all these fairy tale characters? And then you watch the Disney movies and you're like, oh, okay, I see. And now as an adult, you know, I read the real thing, right? I love to read classic fairy tales, Hans Christian Andersen, the Brothers Grimm, all that good stuff. And through an appreciation of myth and folklore, I've gone back to the Disney movies, and I've been watching a lot more lately. I just watched the Aristocats for the first time ever. I'd never seen it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And I just like to look at movies now with sort of an honest point of view that's less nihilistic. It's funny I say that as I hold up quite possibly the most nihilistic animated movie of all time, Lion King 1.5. But, you know, as a kid, these movies all kind of blend together, so you just look at Lion King 1.5, which I did watch as a kid, and go, that movie sucked. I don't like Disney movies. But, you know, now as an adult, I can look at this and go, well, this was a Disney Toon sequel, a low-budget sequel, just made to sell cheap DVDs and VHS. And there are aspects now of this movie that I can't appreciate. The animators worked hard, the film looks good, and Timon's mom is hot. There you go. So, let's just look through some of these movies. I know it won't be the biggest collection because I'm just not a super diehard Disney person. Like, my favorite Disney movie is probably Zootopia, which came out less than 10 years ago. So that shows what I know. But, let's dive in and look at some of these, because it seems Disney physical media is going back in the vault.
It's Brimstone.
Yeah, right, Brimstone.
Let's start off with Robin Hood, because I think it's pretty interesting as Disney's guinea pig. That's what they call this movie. Robin Hood was one of Disney's first kind of financial flops, and it was, I believe, the first movie without Walt Disney's involvement. So whenever Disney is testing a new format, they release Robin Hood first, because they don't view the film as a risk. They think it essentially has no worth or value, which me and all of other furry kind would dispute. But you'll notice Robin Hood had the earliest VHS release, the earliest Betamax and Laserdisc release, and DVD, I believe it was the first DVD release. When Disney started their DVDs, they were what was called the Gold Collection here, and they had these beautiful spines that featured the character's head at the bottom, and they featured a white case that was not too dissimilar from the VHS white case clamshells. Now, the Disney Gold Collection would unfortunately not last too long, which is a shame because I really like this look, as they would transition to this modern, I say modern, but it was very 2000s in design because everything was very shiny. That's the best way to describe these later releases, as shiny and glossy. And they would sort of redraw the classic artwork and create these new movie posters that I always thought were really odd. it kind of tries to make 2D characters look 3D. Was this because of Shrek? Like, did they want Robin Hood to fool you into thinking this was like a DreamWorks-like movie? Because what is up with that? If you look here, he's the correct color of orange, he's very flat, yet here he's kind of got this weird 3D kind of Adobe Illustrator look to it. Also, look at that Best Buy $20 tag. So even Robin Hood, which Disney viewed as worthless, was $20. Who can remember going to Best Buy and seeing the Disney DVD aisle? It was magical, but it was also expensive. Now, generally speaking, the Gold Collection, despite I think having a classic, more Disney look to it, these transfers can be quite awful. They look like direct VHS rips. Versus these ones, which are so much better. So much better of a transfer. They actually put it on the box. New digital transfer. Like, even the average layman knew that Disney had horrible transfers on their movies, and they looked like garbage. So, this one obviously looks better in the collection, but this is just the release to have. This one is so much better. Now, continuing with the Disney Gold, some of the other releases from this time were the Goofy movies. These are classics, right? Who loves these? I'm a weirdo. I like the second one more. What can I say? That Beret Gold. And Hercules was probably the big tentpole release of the Disney Gold era. Now, curiously, Hercules never got an updated release. It may be the only Disney Renaissance movie not to have this updated one. This is it. I'm pretty sure this is the only DVD release Hercules ever got. Can you believe that? An absolute classic, and it never got a good release. It's even got its, what is this? Rescuers Down Under activity guide? This is hilarious. Oh, it's like telling you what else you can buy on DVD. Right? That's so weird. Was this supposed to come with the Rescuers? And did someone stick this in Hercules? Because this seems really, really weird to be in the Hercules DVD. Right? This had to be like some kids that he put in the wrong movie. Huh, very odd. We're gonna keep it in there. Oh look, and there's an ad for the Gold Collection, showing you all the neat stuff you can get. Save $1. Yeah, $1. Available through October 3rd, 2000. I better run out there and buy a copy of Wind in the Willows. I'm a big fan of DVD spines, and I love the look of the Gold Collection, how they have this beautiful border with the head at the bottom, and later on they switched it to just this square with a head in it, which they would keep this look throughout all of the DVDs, because even late releases like Zootopia have the head square, and the Disney FastPlay icon. This DVD uses Disney FastPlay.
This Disney DVD is enhanced with Disney's FastPlay. Your movie and a selection of bonus features will begin automatically. To bypass FastPlay, select the main menu button at any time. FastPlay will begin in a moment.
Huh. So I missed a Gold Collection film, The Black Cauldron, but I think that's okay because I think Disney forgot about this movie too. The last of what you would call the Gold era DVDs were probably like The Emperor's New Groove and maybe some of the other ones released around this time. I don't have Fantasia 2000, but it's interesting how these are not part of the Gold Collection. They've got the square, like the more modern spine, but they still have the white case, trying to like tell you that it's a kid's movie? What was with that? Why did so many kids' DVDs use solid white cases? I never quite understood that, because white gets dirty easier, and kids are just gonna dirty these up. I think the latest one I have in a white case is the Aristocats Special Edition. This may have had a slipcover at some point, but if it does, I don't have it. But yeah, that's a nice edition with a lot of special features on there. They used to just pack these DVDs full of interactive games, documentaries, all sorts of stuff. You never went wrong with a Disney DVD because they promised a lot of content, that's for sure. I have some more nice releases here. I've got Mulan Special Edition without the slipcover, and Pocahontas without the slipcover, and Aladdin with the slipcover. I know these are kind of the films that they would retire into the Disney vault every now and then. So it was kind of an event release when they had them. Little Mermaid 2, right? Not Little Mermaid 2, but, you know, the original Little Mermaid, as well as Jungle Book. These are all such quality releases, and you really owe yourself to buy these, because what you have here is so much better than what is on Disney+. You don't have to deal with buffering and advertisements, and I just don't know why people bother with that sort of thing, because with these releases, I mean, I paid $1 for these. I paid literally $1 for these at the flea market. And you own the movie. You have it to watch forever in high quality resolution. It's pretty good. Would the Blu-ray be better? Yeah, but honestly, with animated movies, it barely makes a difference. Like, you know, I've always liked DVD. It doesn't bother me. Sometimes the grain of a DVD can actually improve a film. So, you know, good releases. Fun to have. Some more nice releases. Even the, you know, much neglected 80s Disney decade got some nice releases. Fox and the Hound got this beautiful release, as did Great Mouse Detective, one of my favorite Disney movies ever. God, I love this film, and I'm so happy it got such a nice release so that I can forever own it. When Disney Plus inevitably removes the mouse burlesque scene.
Hey, fellas, there's nothing I won't do.
Fun fact about this movie, when they screened it, parents had a bit of a fit over the mouse striptease, and Michael Eisner, the CEO of Disney, reportedly got up and shouted, "It's cabaret, it's art." And that's how it was included in the movie. Because it's not a striptease, it's cabaret. It's different, it's art. And the 2000s were also not kind to Disney. They were probably a lot like the 80s, where they didn't make a lot of money, but these movies have their fans, and I quite like some of them. Treasure Planet, especially, is a real gem. Not just because it has a beautiful cat girl on it, but also because the animation is amazing. And I've said before that this is probably the closest we're ever going to get to getting a 1980s science fiction novel cover brought to life. If you remember 80s sci-fi novels, they always had the most amazing covers that could not be created in film. Yet here we are with a technical marvel. And you know, Brother Bear and Home on the Range. These movies have their fans. Meet the Robinsons. Who loves this film? I absolutely adore this movie. I think it's a beautiful, optimistic film about futurism that is honestly really to the core of what Walt believed in. Despite being, you know, Disney's, I think their first CG film they made in-house, not counting Valiant and the Wild, because they distributed those. But it's still so classic Disney. I miss when they made fun movies like this, and it's got a very sweet message. It's good. It's a good one. And I have the Disney Toon animated sequels. Yeah, thoughts on these are really mixed. A lot of people say they're really awful, and I have to agree with some of them. Mulan 2 here has the distinction of probably being the only DVD in my collection I have never owned. It's still got the Buena Vista Entertainment seal on it, which means this DVD is probably worth $1 instead of 50 cents. But it could be argued that Mulan 2 has negative value, that people will pay you to take this movie, because it is one of the worst pieces of animation you will ever watch. I cannot even begin to tell you how awful Mulan 2 is. They recycle and reuse the same songs. It's boring. I think it's offensive. I think what Mushu does to break up Mulan's happy relationship is horrific. It's hard to watch. Like, Mushu is such an asshole in this movie. He ruins people's happiness for his own gain. It is just awful. Saving China was just the beginning. Oh my god. Yeah, this film sucks. Lady and the Tramp 2, I've never seen, and I probably should. I know it's very popular with the furries. And Fox and the Hound 2, oh my god, this moon is so weird. This is a weird sequel. I am not a fan of the original Fox and the Hound. I think it's kind of boring, and I don't really get it at all. It seems like it wants to be 10 different movies. Like, halfway through it switches to a different film entirely. And when I read about the film's production, how Don Bluth left halfway through the movie because he was frustrated with the film's direction, I can't help but agree. But, you know, maybe it was worth it, because if this was, you know, if this original one was the film that made Don Bluth leave and give us Secret of NIMH, then it was totally worth it. But the Disney Toons sequel definitely falls under so bad it's good. There are actually a lot of enjoyable moments in this movie. Plus, we get tons of country music references. We've got Reba McEntire as this bizarre, sassy southern dog who is completely evil. Like, her character is just awful. And then we have Little Big Town performing some of the songs. And you can't go wrong with Little Big Town. Here is one of the strangest releases I have, The Rescuers and Rescuers Down Under. Now, Disney generally stayed away from multi-packs. They did not like packing movies together. That really bothered them. They felt like they were wasting their titles, you know, sort of cheapening their brand. But sometimes with films in the same series, we would get multi-packs. So you would never see something like The Rescuers and The Great Mouse Detective packed together. Even though they're both cartoon movies about mice, they're not canon to each other. But these two films are, and they did pack them together. They even put them together in a Blu-ray DVD combo set, which is super weird because usually when you have Blu-ray DVD combos, they're in the Blu-ray case. But in this case, with this Rescuers pack, they actually made it a DVD first and a Blu-ray second. So it comes in a DVD case, and it advertises itself clearly as DVD, but the Blu-ray is also included. So that is super weird. If I had to speculate on why they did this, I know DVD was popular with kids long after Blu-ray because they were much cheaper. I know many stories of parents who would buy the Disney Blu-rays, keep the Blu-ray for themselves, and give the DVD to their kids. So maybe this was sort of like appeasement to that, you know? They knew kids wanted the DVD more, so they made it a DVD primary release, and then just put in the Blu-ray disc for the adults to take. I always thought that was odd how Blu-ray skewed more towards adults, DVDs more towards kids. But I mean, if you look at the branding, Blu-rays come in thinner cases, sometimes collectors and steelbooks. DVDs are very fun and plasticky cases, you know, with the white case and all. So it was definitely deliberate. Maybe it's because most adults bought PlayStation 3s to use as their home media centers and gave PlayStation 2s to their kids to use in their bedrooms. I know my family did that. We had the PlayStation 2 as our main media center, but when we upgraded to PS3, you know, me and my brother, we got the PS2 to use in the bedroom. So, you know, for my family, it was always Blu-rays in the living room, DVDs in the bedroom. Was it like that for anyone watching? I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling like a madman. Are you ready for the final Disney DVD I have that isn't a TV show or a Blu-ray? There it is. Wow. Simply amazing. I don't know what this is. What is this film? Does this film exist? Are we supposed to acknowledge this film's existence? So yeah, this is obviously an unofficial fan release. But there were quite a few pressings of this fan release, oddly enough. I don't know why, but this yellow cover version shows up a lot online. But it does go for quite a bit. I'm always surprised at what these go for. I guess people get giddy like, this is my only chance to own this, but if you want to own it, you can get it. Guess what? I was wrong. I have one more DVD movie, and it's a really strange one. It's the Aladdin 2 and 3 collection. I was just talking about how Disney was super opposed to these film collections, and in this case, we did get two, with Return of Jafar and King of Thieves, and I think this was the only way to get these two movies. I don't think they were sold on their own. This was a Best Buy box set. I bought this at the thrift store months ago for like $3, and when I bought it at the thrift store, it had its original Best Buy tag on it, which I really was hoping was on the box itself, because, you know, the sticker makes it sicker, but it was on the shrink wrap, and I took the shrink wrap off. I know, sacrilege! What's wrong with me removing the shrink wrap of a collectible DVD? Well, I wanted to watch and enjoy The Return of Jafar. What can I say? Moving on to the Disney Afternoon, these got wonderful home media releases from Disney. They have really supported releasing their best classic cartoons. Now, not all of the Disney Afternoon got DVD releases due to copyright, like Bonkers, for instance, and Raw Tunage never got home media releases. Probably because they feature non-Disney characters in them. They licensed out other cartoon characters to appear on that show, so that's my guess. Same thing goes for Blazing Dragons, the Monty Python dragon cartoon. That was a Disney Afternoon show, but I don't think they owned the IP, so that one wasn't released. But we did get the Gummy Bears. We got Gargoyles. We got Tailspin. Rescue Rangers. DuckTales. And Darkwing Duck, and a couple others I don't have. Maybe the Mighty Ducks? Was the Mighty Ducks released? I don't know. I don't really follow the Duck Force. But the early versions of these Disney Afternoon DVDs came in these box sets. They really wanted them to have kind of a premium feel. They come in these big slip cases, and each disc is beautifully detailed with a character on them. So they really tried to make you get that, you know, they wanted you to get that $50 worth, because these were like $50 at Best Buy, maybe even $60. But later on, they would re-release these in cases. So, about 10 years after this, it was re-released in a DVD jewel case for less than half the price. I think this was $10 when I bought it at Walmart. So, they really, you know, cheaped it out. What version you want is entirely up to you. A lot of people online prefer the box sets because it has a more premium feel, and you get a lot more paperwork, and just, you know, it's more interesting. You know, the characters on each case. But I actually prefer the cases. I like everything on my shelf to be very uniform, and for me, having all these plastic cases in a row just makes it easy to pick this off the shelf, open it up, and pick a disc. This DuckTales release is also a brand new release, so not the classic box set, but a simple case. And I like this. I think it makes it easy to access and watch the series. Like, I want to watch DuckTales, I don't have to worry about getting out, you know, 6 different box sets to take apart. I just pick this off the shelf, and this is all 70 episodes and the movie right there. Like, that is easier than Disney Plus. Tailspin didn't even make it all the way through the series in the box phase. Volume 1 and 2 were released in these boxes, yet Volume 3 is in a traditional case. Now, I think there were some Volume 3s that came in the box set, but they're much rarer. This one, I see a lot more in this case. So, pretty odd. I do want to upgrade my Rescue Rangers set here. I love this show, but, you know, I don't like having to go through all these different cases, you know? I just want a nice, simple case that's, you know, got them all in. And also, can we just say, look, they had 6 chances. 6 chances to put Gadget on one of these, and they didn't. Yes, he's, like, real tiny right there, but, I mean, they did Chip, Dale, and Monterey Jack. And then for Volume 2, they did Chip, Dale, and Monterey Jack. What the heck? I get Volume 1, putting these 3 characters, but for Volume 2, it should be Gadget, Zipper, and one of the bad guys. I don't understand. Who came up with this? Disney graphic designer from 2003? I'd like to have a word with you. Look at all those Disney DVDs. So for some honorable mentions, Ice Age probably has more physical media than any movie series. Honestly, it is amazing how many times they can pack these same 5 movies together. Now, this isn't a film Disney made, it's a film Disney bought and now owns, but you can still find releases at Walmart that have the Fox branding on it. This release is still being sold at my Walmart for $10. You can own every Ice Age movie. How about that? But if you decide to buy the new Ice Age Blu-ray releases, they have the Disney logo on them. Although this one here was a Disney Movie Club exclusive and is super weird. So Disney Movie Club, where you buy the movies and get reward points, they often do these where they have rare and obscure titles on Blu-ray or DVD. But in this case, they didn't go with a rare or obscure title. They just went with 3 random Ice Age movies. And boy, do I mean random. You get the first Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, which I think is like Ice Age 4, and then the Christmas special. Who decided these movies? I have so many questions. Very, very bizarre. Pretty much any of the Fox DVD sets count as Disney releases, and these Fox DVD sets are amazing. Fox owned physical media in the 2000s. They seriously made some awesome stuff. And given Disney's hesitation to more adult content, I would advise buying all the Fox DVDs you can, because little chance of them re-releasing those. One Fox release I don't think Disney owns is the All Dogs Go to Heaven show. This was a Fox cartoon, but the IP is kind of caught up in that Don Bluth legal entanglement where I think United Artists and MGM own this IP. So technically not Disney Plus, but still a good DVD set you should own. And if you want to be really picky about, Disney ownership and Disney DVDs, technically these count. The final bizarre Disney release is Noah's Ark from Shout Factory. Yes, this is a Disney movie. This is an adult, dirty comedy about the animals on Noah's Ark. It's like a raunchy, furry sex comedy. I am not kidding, that is a real movie. And the animation in this film is absolutely amazing. It was an independent film that caught the eye of Disney because the animation was so good. So what Disney did was they bought the studio and immediately hired all the animators to work on Disney productions. So technically Disney, and because Disney bought the studio midway through production, they owned this movie. Now, legally, the movie had to be released through a completion bond. So I think Disney was really, really embarrassed of this film. So they gave it a very, very limited physical media release, and that's what this is. There's 2 versions of the physical media release. There's the unrated version, which is the full original film, and then there's the trimmed down version, the Shout Factory Kids release. Yes, they actually tried to trim this down and make it into a kids film, which I think it epically fails at, because even though some of the lines have been dubbed over, all of the sexy designs here are kept intact. And I think a lot of the adult jokes went over the censors' heads. So while some of the scenes are cut, including a few scenes that are critical to the movie's plot, some of the really dirty jokes are actually left in the movie, which surprised me. So I only have the censored version. The uncensored release is really, really rare, but it is something I want to have. And yes, again, it is an official Disney movie. Disney doesn't have as many Blu-ray releases as their DVDs because Disney was a little late to getting a lot of their movies on Blu-ray. So late, in fact, that some of the Blu-ray releases were quite recent and ran up against Disney Plus. Now, this is the Zootopia Blu-ray release. Like the DVD, it still doesn't use the movie poster. But again, I'm okay with that because Zootopia's movie poster kind of sucks. There were some collector's editions of Zootopia. There was a steelbook and a 3D release, both of which have gotten very, very expensive. I think we're really going to see prices for these DVDs begin to climb, especially as Disney discontinues physical media across the world and basically drops it. I think people are going to say, I should have bought that. So while you may be able to get G-Force for $1 today, you might not tomorrow. This is a rare Blu-ray case. It's thicker than the regular case so that you can own multiple discs, and they wanted to give you the full GeForce experience. They wanted to give you GeForce on DVD, Blu-ray, and Windows Media Player with a digital copy disc. Oh yeah. What is this? Like, what's a Disney file? I don't understand. Is this even a real disc? Is this gonna put malware on my computer? I would not advise putting the GeForce file copy disc into your computer. Who knows what could happen? Who knows? Ka-chow! There's lightning. I really don't have anything to say on a lot of these Blu-ray releases. They're just so, you know, average. Though obviously films released like 2005, 6, right when Blu-ray was getting big. Again, the earlier releases have the movie cover, and then later on they did this dumb thing where it features one character's face up against a solid background. I don't know why they did this, but DreamWorks did the same thing. And I'm curious who did it first. Did DreamWorks come up with this concept or Disney? Whoever to blame, I don't like you. Go back to using the movie poster. The Ghibli releases were always high quality. Disney did a good job of keeping all the Ghibli releases in circulation to the point where they're not that expensive. You can get these releases pretty cheap, and they're loaded to the gills with good stuff. And they're all good movies, so what's not to love? Finding Dory, I've never opened this one. Like Mulan 2, it's one of the worst films I've ever seen. It's horrific. I was really happy when Treasure Planet got a Blu-ray release. A pretty late release, 10th anniversary edition. So this came out in 2013, 2014-ish. But yeah, it looks amazing in Blu-ray. Love that. One of my favorite releases right here. More lame covers. A classic, Spirited Away. Here's another odd one. Another 2-movie collection. So it seems Atlantis they did not see as a very valuable film, because for only $20, they gave you both movies on DVD and Blu-ray. How about that? And looks, even the Blu-ray includes both movies on one disc. That is odd. But it did get released, so thank goodness. I mentioned Hercules not getting an updated DVD release, but it did get an updated Blu-ray release, which is super odd. It includes the DVD in it, though. So I wonder if the DVD that's included in here... Yeah, it's got Disney FastPlay, which the gold edition doesn't. So there is an updated DVD of Hercules. It just wasn't released in its own case. You have to buy the Blu-ray and take the disc out of the Blu-ray. Boy, that's weird. Bug's Life. Answers better. Lion King 1.5 with an even lamer cover. Oh my god, that looks terrible. Lion King, I think it's overrated. Lion King 2, I think it's underrated. Yeah, this is kind of the created a generation of furries movie. But, you know, it's cheesy. I love it. Nightmare Before Christmas. I wish Disney didn't own this movie. It's too good for them to own. But at least they got one last nice physical release before it got Disney Plus forever. Beauty and the Beasts. I like it. I dressed up as the Beast once for a video and ran around naked. It was great. Princess Mononoke. I still haven't seen it, and I probably should. The Great Mouse Detective. Now I can see the striptease in 4K, or in 1080p, whatever. No, wait, I'm sorry. It's cabaret. It's cabaret, it's art. Roger Rabbit. One of the best movies ever made. Robin Hood. Probably the first Blu-ray release, because Disney doesn't care about this movie. The Aristocats. Solid release. And The Sword and the Stone. Solid release. That is my Disney media collection. A fair amount of DVD and Blu-ray. I don't have as much Blu-ray as I do DVD, but Disney just releases more DVD. What can I say? So what do you think? Do you have a lot of Disney DVDs and Blu-ray? Please don't tell me you've sold your Disney physical media collection, because you shouldn't. You'll be grateful if you keep it, because one day, these copies of The Lion King are going to be expensive. I joke around, but like, I remember distinctly in the early 2000s, DVD copies of The Lion King were going for $100. Yes, $100, because they released it once, and it went into the Disney vault, never to be seen again. My younger sibling actually loved The Lion King, and we couldn't afford a copy because it was so expensive. So we had to keep renting it from the Blockbuster by my house because they had the rare out-of-print DVD. This would have been like 2009-10, and I think the DVD was released in like 2003. So there was like a short little window there, 2008, 9, 10, where the Lion King DVD was an extremely desirable item. And who knows, we may be entering that again with Disney dropping physical media. I mean, where else are you going to get the Ice Age Christmas special in HD? Well, there is one movie I have that I did not mention that I guarantee you will never be released again. A film that is so elusive, so embarrassing for Disney. I think there is a better chance they release the Song of the South on Blu-ray over this film. And that is my amazing 3D copy of Mars Needs Moms. The perfect family film in every way. Abso-friggin-lutely. Upon editing this video, I have learned that this is not the worst Disney Blu-ray I own. There is one I own I did not feature because I hate the fact that Disney owns this movie. Oh my goodness, that is so sad. No wonder we haven't seen any new merchandise or anything. Instead, it got relegated to the boring Criterion release. Seriously, I despise that Criterion cover. It's so drab and not as colorful and fun as this original cover. Well, I will forever treasure this, even if it is a rental exclusive. Was Fantastic Mr. Fox's Blu-ray really a rental exclusive? My goodness. Some things in this world just ain't right. I will say, I know Criterion releases are limited, so if that release disappears and Disney never releases this film again, it will be an absolute travesty.
If what I think is happening, it better not be.
No more